I hope everyone's ready for Wednesday, July 17th. We got to shut down Broadway. We have to have a massive strike. If you guys want to see an end to the lockouts, there's only one force that can stop these lockouts, and that's the drivers. It's all of you. We need drivers to be out there. We're meeting at 1 p.m. sharp at Broadway in Murray, and then we're going to march down Broadway to downtown at Uber's corporate headquarters. So everybody, please make your plan, make your time. We had great protest in June and a great press conference. I hope all of you saw afterwards. We had so much good media. The business media, that's the media that Uber's investors read. They've all been reporting on it. And the headlines have said, right, that Uber is trying to avoid paying drivers everything that you are due. So we know you're losing a lot of money from the lockouts, but also with, the reason Uber and Lyft are doing these lockouts is to hide how much of your time you are empty, so that when the TLC reviews that percentage, they don't have to pay you more on each trip. So they're trying to make you look more busy and less empty than you are, so they can get out of paying drivers all the money that is due to you. Because in New York City, we have one of the best pay standards for Uber and Lyft drivers in the country, which includes not only the, per mile and per minute, but there's also something called the utilization rate, which is supposed to pay you for your empty time. And so we're going to talk about that more later on in the meeting. Um, but we've been fighting the lockouts. Uber is using the lockouts to change and weaken that TLC rule. So not only like you're suffering right now, but the purpose of that suffering for them is so they can get out of paying you more next year and the year after and the year after for years to come. So we cannot let Uber and Lyft manipulate these rules, weaken these rules. We have some of the strongest pay rules in the country. I'm sure you saw some of the news in Massachusetts, for example, where it's $32.50 an hour, except that's only for engaged time. So if the drivers are busy only 50% of the time, it's only $16.25 for that hour. On top of that, there is no other regulation to, really force the companies to keep you more busy. So in other cities, drivers are kept empty longer, and there's nothing that makes up for that loss of income. This is a protection that drivers have in New York City that the companies are trying to weaken, especially Uber. And that is the motivation why they're doing these lockouts. So, brothers and sisters, I know the crisis is happening for you right now. We have to demand an immediate end to the lockouts, but also we need to show them that drivers are going to stand up and fight back and protect the income and demand that the rates should be higher than what they are now. And that, you should not be left empty, and you should not be left without pay when you are empty. So, brothers and sisters, July 17th, 1 p.m. sharp at Broadway in Murray outside City Hall. Marching from there downtown to Uber's corporate headquarters. Organize, build the action. Call your friends, post on Facebook, share the flyer, garage, repair shops, car washes, everywhere, anywhere that you go, post the flyer and spread the message. We need to see thousands of drivers on Wednesday, July 17th, 1 p.m. When our union fights, we win. And the only power of our union is all of you. It's the drivers. You are the power of this movement. TLC, the mayor, the city council, they will only come forward if you lead. You have to be, you are the generals. You have to be in the front to lead in order to win this fight. So Wednesday, July 17th, 1 p.m., Broadway and Murray. Please be out there in force. We have enough time. Keep spreading that word. So, brothers and sisters, I'm going to now, speaking of victories, okay, and speaking of force and being a union that does not give up and is willing to fight. We fought for 8.5 years for this victory on the wage theft recovery. And we are so pleased that joining us today is the bureau chief of, the Labor Bureau at the Office of the New York State Attorney General. Karen Kakase, who is the Labor Bureau Chief. We're so honored that Karen is joining us tonight to give all of you an update so you can hear directly from Karen. Karen is the amazing chief of the Labor Bureau who, led this investigation and brought this campaign to a historic victory. It is the biggest wage theft recovery in the state of New York. You know, as I said, our union fought for 8.5 years, and we worked with, lots of different administrations throughout those years. And I can honestly, genuinely tell you that Karen and her colleagues are just some of the best people we've ever worked with in government. They took this fight so seriously, gave it all of their attention and all of their force. And that's how we were able to get to this historic recovery. So without further waiting, I'm going to turn it over to Karen, who has an announcement to share with all of you. Thank you, Karen, for joining us. The floor is yours.
Thanks, Baraby. Wonderful to see so many of you. It's amazing. Just the numbers of you on this call. So I'm grateful to be here, and I know that many of you have applied to the settlement fund for the Black Car Fund and sales tax deductions that were taken from you, and are waiting very patiently. And I'm sorry again. Many of you were probably on the call last month, and I said we were working out the calculations, and we are finally just about there. So I think we should be able to finalize everything next week, and then the week after that, the week of July 22nd, the check should start coming, or the deposits, however you requested getting your money, it should start hitting the week of July 22nd, and it should be for everyone who didn't receive a prior settlement related to Black Car Fund or sales tax deductions. For those of you that did have a prior settlement, we will be calculating your amounts after, but we wanted to get the bulk of the money out as soon as possible. So that'll be coming out, as I said, the week of the 22nd. And I don't know if if every single person who has applied will get it that first week, but it will be in the coming weeks after that. So it definitely should start rolling. And for the drivers who made a claim for Uber time, it should be the full amount of the deductions plus some interest. For the drivers from Lyft, there were two issues. The total amount is going to be about 70% of the deductions. And because Lyft is paying over time, you're going to have two payments. So one that you'll start getting in a couple of weeks, and then one that will be in 2025 when they make their final payments. So, we're again grateful for your patience, and hoping that you will all be pleased that the money will start coming.
And Karen, just to clarify, when you say settlement, so everybody, we're not talking about the settlements in terms of when Uber paid out the money directly, right, in 2017. By settlements, Karen means that those of you who may have filed for arbitration, right, Karen?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there were class actions that were filed in court, and then there were arbitrations that were filed. And so there's a, there's a decent amount of drivers that receive some money related to settlements, either through the class action or the arbitration. We're putting those drivers to the side for now to get the money out to the people who did not get any money yet. And then we will figure out the amounts that that are owed to the people who already had the prior settlements.
Great. So again, so beginning July 22nd in what, 11 days from tonight, we're going to start seeing the payments are going to start to go out to everybody. And I believe there are over 60,000 drivers that have applied so far.
Yes, yeah, the response rate has been amazing. So thank you for being responsive and filling out your forms and signing up. If you have friends or other people that that may be eligible, they drove during that period of time for 2014 to 2017 and haven't applied yet, encourage them to do so. That we have, I think, close to 70% of the money accounted for in terms of people that have applied. So, it really is a great response rate so far, but we definitely want to give all of the money out. So, we hope everyone applies.
And Karen, in terms of I just like the timeline of when the Attorney General's office received the money from the companies, like where that money is right now, if that money is accumulating interest, where's that interest going to go?
Yeah, sure. So I think that um, we signed the agreements in November of 23, and I think between November and December of 23, Uber paid the full amount, which was $290 million, and Lyft paid the first 20 million and then has been making monthly payments, which they will continue to do through October of 25 until they get to the full 38 million that they are contributing. The money is in a interest-bearing account. Whatever interest it accumulates just goes back into the pot. And so, if we can, the way we're going to do it is we're going to send out the money as I've said, the amount that we've calculated people are owed. And then at the end of that, if there's money left over, if there are people that we can identify that just didn't file a claim form, the money will go to unclaimed funds, and hopefully they will eventually go to the comptroller's office and submit a claim for the unclaimed funds, and they'll get that. But if there's any money that's left over after that, then we'll do another distribution. So all the money that we have, including the interest, will go back to the drivers.
That's wonderful. Yeah, so I was gonna ask you, so if there is money left over, because if not everybody, because the money that people are getting is based on the money you're getting, how much was taken from you from the company. So as Karen, she said earlier that for Uber it would be like about 100%, right? Plus a little bit of additional amount like interest. And then for Lyft, it'll be around 70% recovery, right, of the money that they took from you. And so if not all the drivers apply, and so there's money left, and that goes to some like what kind of fund is that, and how long might that take? Like how
So
long is that money kept there? Do you know?
the unclaimed funds is for if we know we have enough identifying information about a driver to send it to the state. And then the state holds money for people, and they can apply to the state and say, are there any unclaimed funds in my name? And then there will be some, from this settlement if they didn't apply to us and we have enough identifying information to give it to the state. If we don't have enough identifying information, then there could be money left over in the general pot. And then, so at some point, probably in 2025, we would do another distribution and just, we would divide it up proportionally to all the drivers that had already received some amount.
Okay, great. So everybody should definitely stay tuned. And in terms of you had mentioned at our May Zoom meeting, that you all had been waiting for the information from the arbitration or class action settlements that some drivers, I think maybe it could just a couple of thousand drivers had been part of, right? Because you needed to see how much they received, because that would be deducted from what is owed to them from the 328 million.
Yes, that's right. And just it was a little more complicated than we anticipated. There were more lawsuits and arbitrations than we were aware of. So we like it's we're just been continuing to gather that information from the companies. And we just want to make sure we have an accurate list and that we um, prioritize the people that haven't had a prior settlement, get them out the full amount that we can give to them. And then we're going to turn to the people that had prior settlements and figure out what amount is appropriate for them.
Great. And so, could we expect that, let's say by maybe by end of next week, um, that we can send something out to the drivers so they know, like, will Rust be sending a text message or an email once the payment goes out?
I don't think they're planning to. I think they're planning to just send the money out. But we can let you know that like this is, once we get a confirmation, this is the day the money should start going out, and it's fine for you to let everybody know. Just be paying attention to your bank accounts, and then we'll follow up with Russ to make sure that um, the money gets to where it needs to be. And so if there's any issues, please call Rust. You can call our office too, and we'll figure it out. But um, I think the plan is just for the payments to go out.
Great. Okay. So for those of you who just joined, we have a special guest tonight. We're being joined by the Labor Bureau Chief at the New York State Attorney General's office, Karen Cacase, who led the team for this historic settlement. And Karen announced a little while ago that beginning on July 22nd, which is 11 days away, is when the payments will start to go out to the drivers. The money is being held in an interest-bearing account. Whatever interest is gathered up from there would also go back to the drivers, probably after 2025, because at that point they'll see, first of all the Lyft payments Lyft payments are going to be divided, and so the Lyft money you're going to get in two payments. Uber money you're going to get in one payment. What if there's money left over, unclaimed funds, and there's no like identification for, who that money might belong to, then that money along with the interest, the Attorney General's office would make another payment like after next year to the drivers who, had already received something beginning this year. Um, and Karen, would you like to say anything in terms, sorry, how, anything in terms of drivers, who have passed away and their family members are
Yeah. So I think
getting.
since the last time we spoke, we've updated the policies. And so if you are a family member of a driver who is eligible for money, but who has passed away, you should check the Rust website, and it now has new instructions about what you need to do to submit a claim on that on behalf of that person. And if you have any questions, you can call Russ. So we've tried to make that process clear about what you need to do.
Great. And I just got a question from a member asking that how do they know that their claim is, that they've done everything properly and that they would be among the people whose payments would now be ready beginning July 22nd.
If you've submitted your information online, you should be fine. But if it gets to the end of July and you haven't received a payment, then go ahead and call Rust, and we'll track it down and figure out what's going on.
Great. And yeah, maybe by July 22nd we can also come up with like another process, right? To inform the drivers through us as well.
Yep.
Um uh okay, so and then for drivers who are not on the list, so I know, as we've been encouraging folks, drivers to contact us, that they can submit um tax summaries or 1099s, which, they can submit that to Rust. But we've also been contacted by some drivers or their family members if the drivers moved away. For people who don't have that information or access to that information, how will what can the Attorney General's office do to help that
Yeah.
group of people?
So if you, if you think that you're eligible, you should submit your claim online. If you are not on the list that the companies have given to us, then Rust is going to contact you and ask you, do you have tax forms? Do you have any documentation from the companies? If you don't have it, we're going to contact the companies and see if they have it. So, we're going to try and work it out. So just stay in touch with Rust, and hopefully we'll be able to identify all the drivers that for whatever reason weren't on the list.
Great. Okay. Okay. I think those are all like the general questions that I had in mind. I know you have limited time tonight, Karen, so we really appreciate you making the time to join us tonight. I see a number of hands up, but we need to let Karen go. But we can continue to take the questions and then we can submit them to you and we can follow up with the members and share the information with like all the drivers.
Yep, absolutely. If there's anything you want to send me a list of questions tomorrow, we'll get back to you.
Okay, great. But again, July 22nd is when the payments are gonna start. I know Karen, I know the drivers have been waiting for, a few months. I know that, announcement was made in November. People started applying in March, and so I know they're feeling that restlessness, but I just, on behalf of all of us, we really want to thank you because you guys spent years working on this alongside of us. I know that nobody was more excited than you all were back in November when you reached the settlement. So we want to, thank you for all the time that you put into this. And I have to say, I don't know of too many settlements where it's like $328 million and every single dollar is going back to the drivers themselves. Like there's no cut here from that money to Russ, to the AG's office, to anybody else. And even as even on the interest, you guys have, already, I mean, you had already had that in your plan to have that also distributed back to the drivers. And I just want to say I think that's amazing. And I think I speak for everybody to say how profoundly thankful we are for all of your work and your dedication, to serving this justice for the drivers. Thank you very much.
Well, we appreciate it. And I mean, none of this would have happened without TWA and without all of the drivers, you know, bringing the issues to TWA, really analyzing the issues and working on them for years. And then the only reason that, I think that TWA couldn't be successful by itself was because of the arbitration agreements. And so, that made it important for our office to step in, and we were very happy to do so, very happy to get this result. And we really do appreciate your patience. I know that has been a long time since the announcement and since you applied, and we really wanted to make sure that we were distributing the money fairly. And like I said, it just became more complicated to figure out these prior settlements, which we weren't really aware of. So again, thank you for your patience. Hopefully you will all be, seeing the money soon. If there are any, if for whatever reason you are not somebody who gets it by the end of July, please contact Rust and we'll figure out what's going on. But this is, we're finally getting to the finish line here.
Yeah, this is amazing. July 22nd. So that's pretty amazing. Thank you, Karen, and thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for making the time tonight.
My pleasure. Take care.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.